In the 18th century, Paris presented a dazzling facade, an overwhelming display of luxury and beauty so intense it served to mask the simmering discontent brewing beneath the surface. This outward show of splendor fostered a convenient forgetfulness, allowing many to conveniently ignore the silent revolutions gathering force beneath the city's gilded veneer. To the casual observer, Paris appeared impossibly serene, eternally elegant, and seemingly impervious to any kind of change. Few could have imagined that beneath this magnificent exterior, a seismic shift was quietly building momentum, a hidden force, much like a dormant volcano, poised to erupt and shatter the established order. The illusion of widespread prosperity acted as the perfect smokescreen, concealing the growing instability within the city walls and foreshadowing a storm that was soon to break. Stone bridges, steadfast and resolute, spanned the Seine, enduring the ebb and flow of history unchanged, standing as silent witnesses to the relentless march of time. The steady peal of church bells marked the rhythm of daily life, a constant reminder of time's inexorable passage and the inherent fragility of human existence. At dawn, the city's markets exploded into vibrant life, a cacophony of sounds and bustling activity, revealing the raw, unvarnished reality of everyday life in its most honest and unfiltered form. As dusk descended, candlelight flickered to life, casting a warm and inviting glow upon ancient streets worn smooth by centuries of use, creating a scene imbued with romance, a sense of timelessness, and a profound feeling of nostalgia. This was a Paris teeming with contrasts, a city where past and present were inextricably intertwined, forming a vibrant mosaic, a living, breathing symphony of life itself. Paris ranked among the largest cities in Europe, a bustling metropolis teeming with over 500,000 souls. Yet, despite its size and significance, the city's pace remained unhurried and deliberate, deeply rooted in the enduring rhythms of daily existence. Footsteps echoed softly along the uneven cobblestone streets, as if each fleeting moment was to be savored and appreciated. The clatter of carriage wheels resonated between the tall, tightly packed buildings, an unmistakable sound signature of a bygone era. Whispers carried on the breeze through narrow, winding alleys, conveying fragments of daily conversations, private anxieties, and secrets carefully guarded behind imposing stone walls. Amidst the grandeur of this great city, ordinary people found fleeting moments of solace and peace in the smallest of details, a rare tranquility within a crowded and often chaotic world. From afar, Paris projected the image of a refined masterpiece, a powerful symbol of wealth, influence, and unparalleled prosperity. However, a closer inspection revealed the underlying fragility of this carefully constructed illusion. Beneath its polished exterior lay deep contradictions and invisible fractures, silently awaiting the moment they would burst forth and expose a far harsher and more unforgiving reality. The pervasive elegance was merely a thin veneer, artfully masking the profound social tensions that were smoldering just beneath the surface, ready to ignite. Along the Seine, heavy barges moved steadily back and forth, laden with essential supplies, grain, wine, and firewood, the very lifeblood that sustained the city and its inhabitants. Yet, this same river also carried the burden of waste, pollution, and disease, insidiously eroding public health and threatening the well-being of its citizens. The Seine both nourished and poisoned Paris, a tragic paradox at the very heart of the city's existence. The city's vital artery, the very source of its sustenance, carried within it a hidden and potentially lethal threat. Grand stone buildings, constructed according to classical principles and adorned with ornate designs, rose proudly along the riverbanks, intended to showcase aristocratic wealth and power. Yet, in the shadow of these magnificent structures, laborers toiled, washing clothes in the contaminated waters, often oblivious to the dangers lurking beneath the surface. Luxury and abject poverty existed side by side in stark and painful contrast, a blatant and undeniable manifestation of profound inequality. Paris lived with its inherent contradictions, having long grown accustomed to them over time. The stark divide between opulence and destitution, between beauty and decay, had become an integral part of the city's legacy, a burden carried through successive generations. Injustice had permeated every corner of the city, becoming a chronic and debilitating condition of urban life. On the Aile de la Cité, the Notre Dame Cathedral soared majestically above the surrounding streets, dominating the skyline like a beacon of unwavering faith. Its towering spires conveyed a sense of permanence and stability in a world often rife with uncertainty and upheaval. Yet, at its base, the streets were dark, cramped, and filthy, choked with mud, animal waste, and refuse, where sunlight rarely penetrated. Even the most sacred of spaces could not fully dispel the pervasive shadows of poverty and disease that lingered in the surrounding areas. Faith provided structure, meaning, and spiritual comfort, but it could not provide sanitation, nor could it alleviate the hunger of the starving masses. Belief might soothe the soul, but it could not fill an empty stomach or address the pressing needs of the impoverished. Nearby stood the exclusive aristocratic quarters, opulent private mansions concealed behind imposing high walls, complete with serene inner courtyards and meticulously manicured gardens. Within these enclaves, life adhered to strict rituals of elegance and extravagant excess. Beyond their walls, impoverished families crowded into dilapidated rooms, their very survival hanging precariously on the price of bread, a cost entirely beyond their control. Two distinct worlds existed side by side, separated by invisible barriers and an insurmountable divide. Paris was deeply divided, not by physical boundaries readily visible on a map, but by profoundly disparate daily experiences. Wealth and poverty shaped parallel realities that rarely intersected, creating invisible walls that fragmented society and fostered deep-seated resentment. The city was also a vibrant hub of intellectual ferment. Within salons and private chambers, enlightened intellectuals engaged in quiet debates concerning reason, liberty, and the limitations of unchecked power. These radical ideas spread slowly at first, largely confined to educated circles. But they planted the seeds of transformative change, a revolution of thought that predated the eruption of physical violence that would soon follow. Institutions such as the Paris Observatory reflected the city's scientific ambitions and burgeoning intellectual curiosity. Les Invalides served as a powerful symbol of military order and state authority. And far removed from the teeming streets stood Versailles, isolated, steeped in ceremony, and rigidly controlled, the embodiment of absolute monarchical power. Power observed Paris from a safe and carefully calculated distance. Paris, in turn, bore the direct consequences of that power, for better or worse. By the late 1782, the escalating pressures became unbearable. Repeated crop failures led to severe and widespread food shortages across the city and surrounding regions. The price of bread soared beyond the reach of ordinary citizens, placing an immense strain on already struggling families. Wages stagnated, failing to keep pace with the rising cost of living, pushing daily life toward a state of utter desperation for a large segment of the population. Crowds gathered in the streets, not initially to protest or engage in acts of rebellion, but simply to survive and seek assistance. They searched for food, for a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness, for some measure of relief from an increasingly bleak and uncertain future. When violence finally erupted, it was not an abrupt and unexpected event that shocked the city. Rather, it was the inevitable culmination of years of systemic imbalance, governmental neglect, and the silent endurance of intolerable conditions by the vast majority of Parisians. The fall of the Bastille was not the genesis of the revolution itself. It was the pivotal moment when Paris could no longer contain the pent-up anger and resentment that had long been smoldering beneath its elegant facade. Paris did not undergo a radical transformation overnight in the immediate aftermath. However, in the aftermath of that watershed moment, nothing could ever revert to its former state. A new era had begun, one characterized by profound upheaval, widespread bloodshed, and irreversible societal transformation. Through the application of AI reconstruction techniques, We are not merely restoring buildings and streets to their former glory. We are uncovering the hidden tensions, contradictions, and unseen forces that shaped this complex and multifaceted city, elements that were often invisible, even to those who lived through them at the time. Paris was undeniably beautiful and a center of culture. Paris was undeniably brilliant and a place of intellectual enlightenment. But Paris was also undeniably unequal, a city of stark contrasts and profound social injustice. History serves as a potent reminder that civilizations do not crumble from a dearth of culture or intellect, but from the catastrophic failure to balance these virtues with justice, equity, and genuine concern for the lives and well-being of ordinary people. The past does not demand blind adoration or uncritical acceptance of everything that came before. It implores us to strive for deep understanding and to learn from the mistakes of those who have come before. Paris ultimately survived its tumultuous transformation, emerging as a different city. Tragically, however, many Parisians did not survive the revolution and its aftermath. What remains for us today is not a shouted warning or a dramatic pronouncement intended to shock, but a quiet and insistent lesson, patiently awaiting those who are willing to look closely at the past, listen carefully to its echoes, and learn from the hard-won lessons of history.